The other piece is, the next piece is the tablet initiative. Chris had mentioned to you, I think earlier in the school year, that we're looking at iPads. So we do have costing for that piece. And what that cost does include, it includes not only the iPads, it also includes the device that will be managing the iPads. You'll have to take them and sync them to a machine, so an Apple machine, a MacBook Pro. It also includes adapters for the classroom so that we can display what's happening on the screens to the kids. There's whole group discussions going on. The students will be able to kind of display what they're doing and share with the classroom as well. It includes charging stations just to, obviously we have to charge these, but we can also use that to sync 20 at once. What also includes is the management piece, and what I mean by that is we don't obviously want students to go into settings. We don't want them, let's say we don't want them to use the camera piece at some point. We can go ahead and limit some of those items. We don't want them to turn off Wi-Fi. So that includes the management software, the back-end management piece as well. And this includes 45 iPads, that fourth generation, 16 gigs is what it is. And so that cost for that, for all of those pieces, was at $51,070.50.
Chris, we already budgeted for this one, already approved, what did we approve? Much?
You haven't approved it, because you told me to go get, you told us to go get numbers. So you approved the concept of the tablets,
All right.
but not
the numbers.
the dollar. Right.
Okay. And that's, if I'm not mistaken, K through 2?
Right now, let's see, nine classrooms.
Nine rooms.
So, let's see. That's K1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's K1.
Okay. Because I guess my question will be this, so 3rd through 6th, we just read it on the computer.
What it was, Dan, you're right, it wasn't K2, but it was going to be like a phase-in type of a thing. So what I'm saying is there would be a kindergarten, first and second grade room at each building that had the tablets. It wasn't a district-wide K2 implementation. So you were right, I just needed to think about that for a second.
Okay, so they'll have that for K, first and second grade in each building.
There'll be 5, basically 15 in each building. So 5 in the kindergarten room, 5 in the first grade room, 5 in the second grade room.
Okay.
What will be our telltale signs that these are improving learning or not? This is kind of the same question I asked about putting the workbooks or laptops into the middle school. How are we going to ever measure the effectiveness? It's one thing to say, well, it's cool, but what are we saying? How are we going to measure that we're actually spending $51,000 on something that is actually improving education?
I think a starting point is when kids come into our buildings now, it's almost as if we're taking a step backwards. And what I mean by that is so many of them have access either on tablets at home or on their parents' phones, smartphones, that in some ways they have actually access to more resources, educational apps, what have you, at home than what they have here. And I think to try and at least catch up a little bit for those kids, because it's just a new generation of students that are more digitally wired, digitally connected, that's the goal. I suppose the principals can, and Kath and I would need to sit down and really develop some criteria if you wanted some sort of evaluation tool.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It might be a little bit intangible the first year or two.
I'm still looking for that type of tool for the middle school. Show us that our initiatives that we've taken, fairly major expenses that we've outlaid, is showing improvement.
Well, if that's correct, could we have that set for this year as a review? I thought January target date, we initially approved the laptops in middle school. We're looking at a 2-year process and then having a thorough review based on app testing or something to show, increased aptitude, some sort of middle school.
I remember the conversation about a thorough review. I don't remember a specific timeline.
Yeah, sort of
So-
2-year time on that point. But I mean, obviously, we want to get to that point, and I agree with you, we have to have some review. Although I agree with Chris 100%, we have to have interactive programs for the kids to use, they're so used to using it at home. The real question is, as long as they're used for interactive content that they're learning from, and not necessarily extra fun things to keep kids busy.
Right.
Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry. To answer Paul's question, I think one of the first things I would look for is actually increase in instructional aptitude by the teacher. We're giving them a tool to utilize within their instructional practices. And before we see results for kids, we have to see that instruction transform with utilization of the tablet. So if indeed they do arrive in our building, there's going to be a level of expectation put on the teachers with their accessibility to the tablet that I have to go in and observe. And based on the instructional demands or expectations that we have as administrators, they have to reach that level. And I think what we'll see then is a transformation within the students. But if we don't get that first piece of an instructional change, we'll never see that second piece of student change.
Well, whenever you make a change, you have to document where you're at and then where you've gone to.
Right. And I think through our various evaluation, through our feedback processes that we've used as administrators, we do have a baseline as to where they are instructionally. Those baselines may be high or medium or low. But now that we're providing an additional tool, wherever they are in their instructional practices, needs to rise with that as well.
I was just going to say that one of probably the greatest things we do with the tool right now is the access to information. I think of all the number of books we no longer order in terms of resource books because it's access to information. It's access to most current information in a very timely manner. So instead of waiting till later to look something up, we're looking something up immediately. So it's access there, but how students are learning is the achievement higher. The achievement doesn't come from that tool. The achievement comes from what the teachers do in terms of the thinking skills with that information, the application with that information. So the tool is just making information highly accessible. And the other thing I just wanted to share with you in terms of a rather cute story is in kindergarten was in the lab taking their math test on the computers. And as they were taking their math test, the kindergartners were sitting in there, and on the computer, this is what they're doing with the computer constantly on the screen. And I'm in there and I go, no, you have to take the mouse. They're so tablet, and you know, mouse is antiquated for 5-year-olds, I realize, because they're looking for touch screens to do their work. So, but back to, yeah, it's the information access. I don't know if you can measure that they're learning better because of that tool. It's how
I
they're
don't think
getting
you'd be able to take out all those other variables that are, other things that are going on.
And the other thing, you know, as far as the discussions I've had, especially with Canon, is if given that opportunity to bring these into our building, I would look to the stronger of the instructors to initially get it going so that they can serve as a mentor or model for other teachers if we were to continue to expand. Realizing that if we don't see an instructional improvement, it's going to be awful hard to come before you and say, we want to expand. So we do know that there's a high level of accountability, and we anticipate that, and certainly looking to meet those.